Ethan Cole woke to warmth, the scent of something floral, and a sense of wrongness so sharp it made him bolt upright. There was someone in his bed. Correction, there was a woman in his bed. A tall, silver-haired woman, lying beside him with perfect stillness. She stared at him with wide, unblinking eyes, violet, almost glowing in the early morning light slipping through the blinds. Ethan scrambled back, thudding against the headboard. "Who the hell are you?" The woman didn't flinch. "I am Karen of the Zalyari. I didn't ask for your cosplay backstory." He rubbed his temples. "Did one of my friends put you up to this? Is this some weird app prank? I entered your dwelling at 3:17 local time. I disabled your security systems non-destructively and used standard cloaking protocols until the bond initiation window. You broke into my apartment. I entered with purpose. My people do not break in." Ethan stared at her. His brain, still groggy, tried to make sense of the scene. She wore a silken tunic, almost like armor, that shimmered slightly, too smooth for any fabric he recognized. Her posture was regal, too still, too symmetrical, like a statue pretending to breathe. He grabbed his phone. "Dead, of course. You've been selected," she continued, "as a candidate for interspecies genetic bonding and diplomatic union." Ethan blinked. "Come again." "My people require a human partner to formalize a treaty alliance. You have been chosen through careful analysis of your neural patterns, reproductive compatibility, and psychological resilience." Ethan stared harder. "You're telling me you're an alien, and you climbed into my bed to propose?" "In essence, yes." He stood abruptly, legs tangled in the sheets, nearly tripping. He backed toward the nightstand, reaching, just in case, for the compact pistol he kept in the drawer. Karen didn't move, but her voice shifted tone. "I advise against hostility. I mean you no harm. You are not equipped to harm me." Ethan pulled the drawer open. The gun wasn't there. "Looking for this?" She raised her hand and his pistol floated in mid-air, then gently set itself down on the floor across the room. Now his heart started to race for real. "Okay," he said slowly. "Say I believe you. Say you're not a government experiment, a hallucination, or lucid dream." "Why me?" "You served in the Southeastern Stability Forces, correct? You negotiated ceasefires between combatant factions. You rebuilt water infrastructure in Nairobi Dome. You speak 4 languages. And," she paused, with what might have been curiosity, "you once rescued a litter of stray dogs during a monsoon." Ethan squinted. "That was one time." Karen inclined her head. It showed judgment, mercy, adaptability, rare traits, even among humans. Ethan let out a sharp laugh. "You chose me based on a resume and a rescue mission. There is also your genetic signature. You possess markers for enhanced neuroplasticity, emotional range, and epigenetic adaptability. You are statistically unique." He rubbed his face. "You keep saying bonding and union. Let's get one thing straight. You're not just asking for a date, are you?" Karen stood gracefully. Now fully upright, she towered nearly a head over Ethan, though her movements were eerily smooth, like a dancer slowed by half. "Our cultural protocols require a deep union, biological, emotional, and political. Through a ceremony of shared consciousness, we create a permanent link. It is not casual." Ethan felt his mouth go dry. "You're proposing marriage. Alien marriage. With benefits." "Yes. And with obligations. My people face imminent danger. So do yours. The threat's dominion. I don't know what that is. You will soon." She walked toward him, slowly, then paused a meter away. "You may touch my face. It will convince you." He gave a skeptical snort. "What?" She didn't answer, only waited. Ethan reached out, cautiously, and touched her cheek. In that instant, something flooded into his mind. Images, sounds, feelings. A skyline of glowing towers. A battle in deep space. A child's laughter in a language he didn't know. He stumbled back, gasping, as the connection broke. "What the hell was that?" he whispered. "My memories. A partial transmission. Proof." He stared at her. "You could have done that from the start." I needed you calm. Open. Touch initiates resonance. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, head in his hands. Okay. Okay. Let's say I believe you. You want to bond, whatever that means. You want to make some kind of alien marriage treaty with Earth using me as the link. Yes. And if I say no? Her expression didn't change. Then the Zalyari will seek alternatives. But without a bonded link, Earth will be dismissed as too volatile for alliance. The Threx will see your planet as undefended. They will come. Ethan looked up at her. You're asking me to save the world by marrying a woman I just met. I chose you, she said softly, because you're the kind of man who does the right thing, even when it makes no sense. He looked down at his shaking hands. Well, he muttered, this definitely qualifies. Ethan didn't sleep. Not that night, and probably not for many more to come. Karen sat across the room, perfectly still, like a statue made of liquid silver and faint blue light. Occasionally, her eyes would blink, too slowly, too deliberately, like she was mimicking human behavior from a training video. You know, Ethan finally said, in every sci-fi show I've seen, the alien usually starts by saying something like, we come in peace. Karen tilted her head. Peace is an outcome, not a greeting. Right? Ethan muttered. And this whole bonding thing, I'm guessing there's no just friends version. No, she said simply. He sighed, rubbing his face. The contact from earlier still echoed in his mind. 1,000 half-formed memories that weren't his. A flood of knowledge he hadn't asked for. It felt like standing too close to a foreign sun, basking in light he couldn't yet understand. I need proof, he said. Real proof. Not just dream visions and glowing eyes. Karen stood. Very well. She tapped her wrist. A panel on her skin, or maybe part of her suit, dissolved, revealing a small, hovering orb. It zipped through the air like a hummingbird and projected a shimmering interface in the middle of the room. What materialized was a hologram of Earth, slowly rotating, then zooming out to show the solar system, then farther, revealing the Milky Way dotted with blinking red and blue markers. Ethan watched in silence. The red systems are under Threx control, Karen said. The blue systems belong to the Zalyari coalition. Notice the spread. It wasn't subtle. The red markers were consuming entire star clusters. And Earth? He asked. Karen pointed to a small yellow blip on the edge of a spiral arm. Unaligned. Strategically insignificant, until now. Until I got dragged into your space soap opera. She turned to face him. Until your species triggered long-range detection with its fusion weapon tests. The Threx noticed. So did we. And the Threx, what do they want? Compliance. Or biomass? He stared at her. Biomass. Karen gave the faintest nod. Your species is adaptable. Durable. You're considered a viable labor class. Labor class, Ethan repeated. As in, slaves. Yes. A cold pit formed in his stomach. For once, he didn't have a smart remark ready. Karen continued, her voice steady. The Threx are not driven by malice. They operate on resource maximization and population efficiency. If your planet is not claimed by an allied protectorate, it will be harvested. And that's where you come in. And me. Yes, the Zalyari cannot intervene without a political bond. We are limited by treaty protocols. Earth must consent. And my wedding, he said, still trying to wrap his head around it, counts as consent. More than that, it integrates Earth into our diplomatic structure. You become the anchor point. The union of our minds establishes legal legitimacy within the core compact. Ethan rubbed his temples. This is insane. You expect me to just say yes? To speak for all of Earth? I expect you to act before it's too late. Earth's governments will not believe me. Not in time. You're not just compatible, Ethan. You're a translator between worlds. A bridge. He laughed bitterly. I fix broken server farms and argue with CEOs about solar backups. That's hardly ambassador material. Karen approached, slowly. Your file says otherwise. You were a soldier, a negotiator. You disarmed a drone with a wrench and a piece of rebar. You once broke into a fortified slum to evacuate a cholera outbreak. That was mostly adrenaline and stupidity. And now, she said softly, you must choose whether to be stupid again, or brave. Ethan looked at her. He saw the faint hum beneath her skin, like starlight in motion. He saw the calm behind her alien poise, the urgency held back like a dam about to break. Fine, he said. Say I say yes. What happens then? We initiate a preliminary bond. Temporary. A trial link. Side effects. Some nausea. Neural echo. Emotional resonance. You may hear my thoughts. I may feel your fey. He raised an eyebrow. What if I think something inappropriate? You already have, she said dryly. Ethan blinked. Right. Telepathy. Only surface thoughts. Nothing intrusive. Still awkward. Karen offered her hand. We begin with touch. Ethan hesitated. He thought of Earth. Crowded, chaotic, hopelessly behind in tech. If half of what she said was true, they didn't stand a chance. Not without help. Not without someone taking the first step. He reached out. Their palms touched. This time, the rush of sensation was gentler, more focused. He saw images, Karen as a child, watching a nebula from her starship window. Her first command. Her last battle. He felt her pain. And then her hope, aimed squarely at him. And then it was over. He stumbled back. Not dizzy, more like expanded. Like his mind had been given a new room to live in. Karen stepped back as well. You accepted the link. Temporarily. It can be reversed within 24 Earth hours. He took a deep breath. So now what? Now, she said, we'll leave Earth orbit. My vessel awaits. Ethan blinked. Wait, we're going to space. Yes. The Zalyari Council must approve your candidacy. You'll be tested. Evaluated. And if I fail? Karen's gaze was unreadable. Then Earth stands alone. He looked around at his tiny apartment. The half-empty coffee mug. The wilted plant. The quiet hum of machines waiting for someone to give them purpose. He turned back to her. Fine. Let's go meet the in-laws. The stars didn't look like they did in the movies. From orbit, Earth was a pale blue jewel, floating silently in the void. Beautiful, fragile, and painfully alone. Ethan watched it shrink on the viewport as the Zalyari vessel moved into deep cloaking altitude. There were no window frames, no bolts, no creaking of metal. The ship hummed with a strange living rhythm, like it breathed. He stood awkwardly on a circular platform surrounded by flowing walls of softly pulsing light. It wasn't a bridge, not exactly, more like a nerve center. Everything seemed to respond to Karen's presence without her touching a thing. No buttons, he muttered. Karen glanced at him. The vessel is biologically attuned. I guide it through interface impulses. Cool, Ethan said. So it's a giant psychic jellyfish. She didn't reply. The platform shimmered, and suddenly a new chamber unfolded from the wall. A seamless transition that made Ethan's stomach flip. Inside, 3 beings waited. Tall, robed figures with elongated limbs and iridescent skin. Each had 4 eyes like Karen, but their presence felt heavier, like they radiated judgment. Are those the council? They are counselors of bonding protocol and foreign allegiance, Karen said. They will evaluate your fitness. Ethan adjusted his stance. I didn't prepare a speech. Speak truth, she said simply. One of the counselors, a towering female with violet facial markings, stepped forward. Her voice echoed in Ethan's mind, not his ears. Human. Identify yourself. He swallowed hard. Ethan Cole, citizen of Earth. Former soldier. Currently a tech consultant in. Unnecessary. State your intent. My intent. He glanced at Karen. She gave no help. Ethan straightened. I didn't ask for any of this. But I'm here because Earth might be in danger. And because your diplomat, Karen, said I could help stop that. I'm willing to try. That's my intent. The counselor's 4 eyes blinked in a wave. Another stepped forward, speaking with a voice like crystal chimes. Your species is unstable. You war with yourselves. You poison your biosphere. You kill over abstractions. True, Ethan admitted. But we also create. We build. We heal. We risk our lives for people we've never met. That contradiction, it's part of who we are. The first counselor's gaze sharpened. Why should the Zalyari bind their fate to such a species? Because we don't quit, Ethan said. Because when we're pushed to the edge, we fight back harder than anyone expects. Because we're not predictable, and that makes us dangerous to your enemies. Silence followed. Karen remained still beside him, unreadable. The counselors turned slightly inward, their four minds clearly communicating in ways Ethan couldn't follow. After a moment, the third counselor stepped forward. Her voice was softer, almost sad. You understand that the bond is not a symbolic act. It fuses minds. You will feel her thoughts. She will feel yours. There will be no secrets, no privacy, no escape. Ethan hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I get that. And yet you accept. He looked at Karen. She chose me. I can choose too. The counselor turned to Karen. Do you confirm your selection? I do, Karen said, her voice unwavering. Ethan Cole is my bonded candidate. There was a flicker in the air. A thin beam of light passed through Ethan's chest. Not painful, but electric, like goosebumps under the skin. The platform vibrated gently. The preliminary trial bond is verified, the counselor announced. Final fusion will occur upon ceremonial approval. Ethan exhaled. He hadn't realized he was holding his breath. Then the chamber dimmed, and a new image appeared. A massive red ship, angular and bristling with energy weapons, hovering on the outer edge of Earth's orbit. What the hell is that? Ethan asked, eyes wide. Karen's face darkened. Threx Scout-class dreadnought. It's already here. They're observing, testing our reaction. If Earth appears unaligned, they will proceed. Ethan turned to the council. Then why are we still talking? Warn Earth's governments. Intercept them. Fight back. We are not authorized to initiate conflict without formal alliance, the first counselor said. You are the catalyst. Without full bond and treaty, Earth remains unaffiliated. Ethan's fists clenched. So this is a bureaucracy problem. You're going to let Earth get steamrolled because of red tape. Karen placed a hand on his shoulder. It is not apathy. It is protocol. We have seen what happens when bonds are forced. Worlds have fallen because alliances were not built on trust. He turned to her, then speeded up. Trust me. She looked at him, not just looked, but into him. For the first time, he saw something flicker behind her composed expression. Uncertainty and hope. Counselors, she said, I request accelerated bonding protocol under emergent threat classification. Ethan Cole has shown readiness beyond projections. The counselors paused, then gave a synchronized nod. Request approved. The chamber faded, replaced by the starlit observation deck. Earth rotated below, small and vulnerable. Ethan stood beside Karen, still processing. So, what now? Now we complete the bond, she said. And Earth becomes more than prey. Ethan looked out at his homeworld, then up at the approaching shadow of the Threx ship. He'd come a long way in a very short time. But somehow, he knew, this was only the beginning. The room was unlike any Ethan had seen on Oath or in fiction. It had no floor, yet he stood solid. No walls, yet he felt enclosed. The stars surrounded him. Not a projection, not a window, but a literal window into space. As if reality itself had thinned around him. Karen stood across from him, her silver skin pulsing faintly, for eyes glowing in rhythm with something beneath the surface. She had changed, or maybe revealed more of her true self. Her form was less humanoid now, her features more elongated, ethereal, undeniably alien. This is the bonding chamber, she said. A sacred construct. It exists partially in subspace, partially within our consciousness. Once we begin, there is no turning back. Ethan swallowed hard. I don't have to say I do, right? I'll wear tux. You merely need to accept. He tried to joke, but the gravity of it pressed in. It wasn't just about marrying an alien. This was about merging minds, becoming part of something so far beyond anything he'd imagined that his sense of self was already warping under the weight. I need to ask, he said. What happens to me? To who I am? Karen stepped closer. You remain, but you will be expanded. Bonding is not loss, it is amplification. What if I can't handle it? Then I will carry you, she said gently, until you can. Ethan looked into her four eyes, seeing not just curiosity or purpose, but something else, trust, maybe even something approaching affection. He took a deep breath. All right, he said, do it. Karen raised her hand, and the stars around them began to move, spiraling, shifting, converging into a ring of shimmering light. The chamber vibrated, not physically, but in his bones, his thoughts. It was like standing inside a song written in a language the soul knew, but the mind could never translate. She extended both hands. Ethan took them. The moment their skin met, the light exploded. He was flying. No, falling. He was her. He was Karen, as a child, looking up at the night sky of a red-tinged world, her mother teaching her the names of constellations. He was a young officer, piloting a living starship through the debris of a broken moon, losing crewmates, grieving in silence. He was standing before a council of elders, being chosen as a diplomat for an alliance she wasn't sure could be saved. And then, her thoughts flowed into him. Suddenly, he was himself again, but expanded. His own memories lit up around him like constellations. A dusty Afghan road, the feel of adrenaline and sweat. The first time he patched a child's broken drone with parts from an old toaster. His mother's laugh. The hollow silence of waking up to nothing but the hum of appliances. All of it, hers to witness now. He felt her presence wrap around his, not smothering, not replacing, but intertwining. He didn't lose himself. He found more of himself. The chamber faded back into view. Ethan gasped, stumbling, but Karen caught him. Not with her arms, but with a connection deeper than touch. Her presence in his mind was like a warm breeze, always there, never intrusive, but undeniably real. He looked up. That was a lot. You survived, she said. There was something close to a smile in her expression now. Subtle, but unmistakable. He nodded slowly, steadying his breath. So, we're officially married now. Not married. Bonded. But yes, you are now one of us, and Earth is no longer alone. Before he could respond, the chamber rippled. A Zalyari hologram materialized in mid-air, a sphere showing the Threx ship again. It was closer. Karen's expression shifted instantly. They've broken formation. This is a pressure tactic. What do? We respond, as one. The central nerve chamber of the Zalyari ship now hummed with focused energy. Zalyari officers moved with synchronized fluidity, guided by shared telepathic thought. Ethan could feel some of it now. Flashes of images, intentions, strategy. Karen stood at the center, her presence commanding but calm. Ethan stood beside her, not as a guest now, as a bonded equal. Broadcasting to Earth now, one of the officers said in accented English. The display shifted. On screen, UN Security Council chambers. NASA command. A dozen heads of state. Karen turned to Ethan. They will not trust me unless they see you. Ethan nodded, stepping forward. He had no idea what to say. No speech prepared. But he wasn't alone in his mind. Karen's calm steadied his nerves. He took a breath. This is Ethan Cole, citizen of Earth, he began. What I'm about to say is not a hoax, not a dream, and not a drill. An alien empire is approaching Earth. They are not here to talk. They are not here to trade. They are here to conquer. He paused. The human faces stared in disbelief. But Earth is not unprotected, because today, a bond was made between me and the Zalyari, between humanity and the stars, and we're not alone anymore. He looked directly at the camera. I don't speak for every human, but I do fight for them, and I promise you, they're going to wish they'd picked an easier planet. Karen placed a hand on his shoulder. It was done. Alarms pulsed across the Zalyari vessel, not loud, but resonant. Low-frequency signals that bypassed ears and buzzed directly in the bones. Ethan felt them before he even fully understood them. They are moving, Karen said, voice clipped. Threx dreadnought has accelerated past diplomatic safe distance protocols. Their weapons are priming. Are they attacking Earth? Ethan asked, already moving toward the center platform. No, they are targeting us. Of course they were. He watched as the holographic display flickered, showing the massive Threx vessel, like a jagged insect in space, all angles and blood-red hull plating, closing in fast. At this range, Ethan could see weapon ports glowing to life, rotating like predatory eyes. They're calling your bluff, he said. Karen gave a sharp nod, or hoping to break the bond before Earth commits. And what happens if we're destroyed? They'll assume Earth's alliance collapsed and begin their acquisition within days. Ethan clenched his fists. Then we hold the line. Karen glanced at him, 4 eyes steady. Then we hold the line. The Zalyari ship shifted into a new configuration, its luminous walls hardening into a kind of crystalline armor. Organic veins beneath the surface pulsed with brighter light. Across the command chamber, Zalyari crew stood like statues. No shouting, no panic, just calm readiness. This isn't a warship, Ethan said. No, Karen replied. But it can fight. How many of these do you have? Not enough. Ethan turned to the weapons officer, a younger Zalyari male with green-tinged skin and a focused expression. What are our defenses? Plasma lattice, gravitic shear beams, defensive nanoclouds, and an experimental ripple torpedo, the officer replied in a precise voice. Ethan blinked. I understood maybe 3 of those words. Karen stepped in. You'll understand what matters. You're part of this now. And he was. He could feel the ship through her, not as metal and wires, but as something alive, aware of him, reacting to him. They were connected. Open a wideband channel, Ethan said. Karen gave him a questioning glance, but nodded. The air shimmered again. A new image appeared. A Threx commander, towering, reptilian, wearing metallic armor fused to its own body. Its voice was a rasping snarl, translated digitally but still unmistakably hostile. Human, you interfere with matters beyond your comprehension. Ethan smiled coldly. You're talking to the wrong species if you think beyond comprehension means we won't mess with it. Your planet is unclaimed. You have no fleet, no defenses, no recognized status. We do now, Ethan said. You're looking at Earth's first ambassador. The Threx bared rows of sharpened teeth. You think your bond protects you? You think this primitive alliance means anything? We will grind your species into carbon and feed it to our breeding chambers. Ethan leaned forward. Then come and try. The connection cut. Instantly, the red warning flares in the chamber spiked. They fired, a crew member shouted. The first shot hit hard. The ship shuddered as if punched by God. Ethan staggered back, caught by Karen before he hit the floor. Shields holding, someone called. Ripple distortion absorbed 80%. Ethan scrambled back to his feet. Can we hit back? Karen's voice was calm but intense. Return fire. Target non-lethal structures. Make a statement. The Zalyari fired. Twin beams of energy, crackling with gravitational instability, lashed out, striking the Threx ship across its dorsal ridge. Sparks exploded into space. Ethan saw a section of armor crumple inward, like aluminum foil under a hammer. Direct hit, the weapons officer confirmed. Their forward weapon array is offline. Ethan grinned. You guys hit like a freight train. Karen's eyes narrowed. They are adapting. Even as she spoke, the Threx ship twisted unnaturally, venting plasma and relining its hull segments. Its secondary weapons emerged, dozens of smaller drones launched into open space, swarming toward the Zalyari vessel like angry wasps. Close-range interceptors, Karen muttered. Too many. We need help, Ethan said. Can Earth launch anything? Not in time, but you can help. He blinked. Me? You have neural access now. You can interface with a defense lattice. We can amplify human instinct with Zalyari precision. You want me to fly the ship? No, I want you to guide its reflexes. Karen took his hand and pressed it to a panel of light. Instantly, Ethan's thoughts were sucked into a web of input, speed, motion, energy fields, 1,000 data streams overlaying a three-dimensional space map. His military training kicked in. Instinct took over. "There," he said. "Fire left sweep on bearing 224. Use plasma curtain. Herd them into our forward cone." The ship responded like it had been waiting for his orders. Beams lanced out. Drones exploded in bursts of flame and metal. Others twisted away and were caught in a gravitational net that folded them into space-time like scraps into a black hole. Cheers erupted from the Zalyari crew. Brief, controlled, but undeniably real. Karen looked at Ethan, her voice tight. "Your intuition, it's more effective than simulations." Ethan managed a breathless grin. "Humans are great at improvising when we don't have a plan." "They are retreating," the weapons officer said. "Freck's vessel withdrawing to outer orbit." "They are not done," Ethan muttered. "They are regrouping." "But now they know Earth isn't prey," Karen said. "We have shown them our teeth." Ethan looked around at the glowing ship, the calm but fierce crew, the stars beyond. And Karen bonded to him, trusting him. He wasn't just a passenger anymore. He was a defender of Earth. Later, as the Zalyari ship drifted in silence, Karen stood beside him, watching the stars. "You fought well," she said. Ethan glanced at her. "So did you." She was quiet a moment. Then, "You are more than I anticipated." Ethan looked at his reflection in the viewport, still himself, still human, but part of something much, much larger now. "Good," he said, "because I've got a lot more surprises left." 2 days had passed since the Threx retreat. Ethan barely remembered what sleep felt like. The Zalyari didn't need much of it, and the few hours he managed were filled with vivid flashes of Karen's memories, and his. The bond wasn't overwhelming anymore, just constant, like a low hum under his thoughts. Now, he stood alone in the observation hall. Below him, Earth shimmered in the distance, a blue dot behind a veil of orbiting satellites and old scars. The Threx ship remained at a distance, cloaked, waiting, watching. No more attacks, but no withdrawal either. A standoff. Behind him, the doors opened with a soft ripple. Karen entered without sound. "You're up early," she said. "Didn't sleep." "I know." He turned. She was dressed in ceremonial attire now, darker metal over a fitted bodysuit that glowed faintly around her hands and collarbones. Her bioluminescence was dimmer than usual, reserved, focused. "What's going on?" Ethan asked. "I feel tension from everyone." Karen nodded. "The Zalyari Council has convened. Your trial bond has caused disruption." Disruption. Many support it. Others fear it. Some see the bond as proof of humanity's potential. Others believe we've invited chaos into our bloodline. Ethan scoffed. "So, I'm controversial. Guess that tracks." She stepped closer. "They are not wrong to be afraid. You are unpredictable, reactive, emotional. You broke 8 protocols during combat. But," she paused, "you saved us." Ethan studied her face. "You didn't bring me here just to talk politics." "No." She held out a small object, not a ring, but a knot of interwoven silver and crystal, pulsing with a soft inner light. "This is the formal proposal symbol," she said. "To complete our bond, to unify our peoples legally and permanently, I must offer it willingly, and you must accept it freely." Ethan stayed at the object. "No going back after this." "No. You become a recognized part of the Zalyari genetic political structure. Ambassador, consort, partner. Your voice will carry weight in council decisions." He looked at her, searching her expression. "Is this still just duty to you?" Karen hesitated. Then, "At first, yes. But I've shared your thoughts. I've felt your fear, your loyalty, your pain. I've seen your world through your eyes, and I've never admired a species more." Ethan swallowed. "You picked me for my neural patterns," he said. "Now you're asking me to be more than just a tool. To be your bonded partner. Not because you have to, but because you want to." She nodded once. "Yes." He let the silence stretch, long enough to feel the weight of it all. Then he smiled. You're lucky I have terrible impulse control. He took the symbol from her hands. The moment his skin touched the artifact, it shimmered and dissolved into light, spiraling around them both like a protective storm. The chamber brightened, walls illuminating in gold. Far above, in orbit and beyond, the Zalyari network responded. The bond was final. The alliance sealed. Human representative has been confirmed, a voice declared across the Zalyari flagship. Earth recognized as an aligned species. Treaty uploaded. Core compact updated. Ethan stood in silence while Zalyari crew bowed their heads. Not in worship, but in recognition. Respect. Acceptance. It felt surreal. Karen turned to him. You are now part of our future. He met her eyes. And you're part of ours. Later that day, Karen and Ethan stood before a high-level council broadcast, one that included members of Earth's global leadership. Some were skeptical, others outright hostile. Are we just supposed to hand over planetary sovereignty to one man? The U.S. Defense Secretary barked. No election, no debate. He didn't claim power, Karen said calmly. He represents a bridge, not a throne. Earth retains independence. And yet your treaties are now binding, the Chinese delegate noted. Your military protection will come with conditions. Ethan stepped forward. You're right to be wary, he said. This happened fast. Too fast, maybe. But here's what I know. The threats aren't going away. They are watching. They want us to be divided. He paused, scanning the room. But they also saw what happened when one human stood beside an alien and said, no. They saw what we're capable of when we fight together. A pause. I'm not here to rule. I'm here to warn you. The future's already here, and it doesn't care if we're ready. One by one, the faces in the holographic audience shifted. Some stiffened. Some nodded slowly. Then the Secretary General of the UN leaned forward. Then what do you propose? Ambassador Cole. Ethan blinked. That was the first time anyone had used the title. He turned to Karen, then back to the council. I propose we stop thinking like separate nations and start thinking like a species. A united species. Earth first. Not in arrogance, but in solidarity. Because the galaxy doesn't owe us anything. We've got to earn our place out there. He looked directly into the camera, voice clear. I'm not asking for your loyalty. I'm asking for your courage. After the transmission ended, Karen stood beside him, quiet. They will debate. Resist. There will be backlash. Ethan nodded. I know. And you will be hated by many. Wouldn't be the first time. She looked at him, not through the bond, not through politics, but as a person. You are very human. He grinned. Thanks. I think. She held out her hand. Come. We have another world to convince. He took it. 1 year later, Ethan stood on the surface of Veruin 3, a former Threx mining colony now liberated, the sky a bruised violet above a broken industrial skyline. The air was breathable now. The ground didn't tremble with automated harvesters. Children played in the rubble, laughing in a dozen alien languages. It was a world reborn. And Ethan Cole, once a lonely tech consultant with too many bad memories and not enough future, was now standing in the middle of galactic history. He adjusted the collar of his Zalyari formal gear, a blend of Earth design and alien material, sharp but functional. He hated ceremonies, but today wasn't about comfort. It was about making a statement. Karen stepped up beside him, radiant in her own way, her ceremonial armor polished, her bioluminescent skin glowing faintly under the alien sun. She looked calm, confident, but Ethan could feel the current under her thoughts. Hope, pressure. Wait, it's almost time, she said. Speech or no speech. You always give one, even when you don't mean to. He chuckled. Fair. Before them, a small crowd had gathered, Zalyari observers, liberated Veruin civilians, and dozens of alien delegates. Even a few human diplomats stood awkwardly in adapted formal wear, blinking in the harsh light. And behind them, hovering just above the settlement, the Zalyari Alliance flagship, a new vessel built from both cultures, half-organic Zalyari design fused with Earth's raw, mechanical boldness. A product of war, yes, but also of collaboration. Ethan stepped forward, raising his voice. People of Veruin and beyond, he began, today isn't just about reclaiming a world. It's about declaring that we are not victims of empires. That no one, human, Zalyari, or otherwise, will live under tyranny so long as we stand together. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The Threx thought Earth would be easy. They were wrong. They thought the Zalyari were finished. They were wrong. They thought our differences would divide us. He looked back at Karen. They didn't count on this. He opened his hand, revealing the old bonding symbol, reforged now into a badge worn openly, not just by him, but by every Earth representative across Zalyari space. He turned back to the crowd. We are not alone anymore, and we are not afraid. After the ceremony, he stood with Karen on the balcony of the governor's tower, overlooking the reconstruction zones. Drones moved between buildings. Engineers, human and alien, coordinated in blended teams. A city was being born from ashes. You've changed, Karen said quietly. Battle scars or emotional maturity? He asked. She gave him a side glance. Both. He shrugged. We'll do that. They stood in silence for a while. Through the bond, Ethan felt something unsettled. You're thinking about the council, he said. They want me to take permanent seat as Speaker General, she replied. That's like Supreme Chancellor, right? In essence, you gonna say yes? She turned to him. Not without you. Ethan blinked. Wait, what? Where I go, you go. We are not merely bonded for war. We are partners. In diplomacy, in future planning, in shaping the structure of the galaxy. He sat on the edge of the balcony railing. So you're proposing again? In a way. You already got me once. What happens if I say no this time? Karen tilted her head. Then I will be disappointed. But I will not override your agency. He smiled, despite himself. You've learned a lot about humans. She sat beside him. I've lived inside one. Ethan looked out at the horizon. Honestly, he said, I don't miss Earth the way I thought I would. She stayed silent. I miss the smell of coffee. Sure. I miss bad movies and rainstorms and baseball. But I don't miss the isolation, the feeling that none of it mattered. He turned to her. Out here, everything matters. Every choice, every word. We're shaping not just the future, we're shaping the idea of what humanity even is. She placed a hand on his. You give us hope. He chuckled. That's a hell of a burden. You carry it well. He was quiet for a moment, then nodded. All right, let's do it. I'll be your co-captain, queen, president, whatever. As long as I get to keep making sarcastic comments at galactic summits. Karen smiled, not just with her mouth, but with the bond. A quiet warmth passed between them. Agreement. Gratitude. Something more. That night, they returned to their quarters on the flagship, private, quiet, hovering just above the planet. As Ethan lay in the strange but familiar bed, Karen beside him, he stared at the ceiling, a dome of slowly shifting stars. You know, he said, a year ago I woke up with a strange woman in my bed, and she offered me a proposal that scared the hell out of me. Karen rolled onto her side. And now? He turned to face her. Now I wake up with the same woman, and the galaxy doesn't scare me anymore. She touched his chest, right over the place where the bond pulsed faintly beneath skin and bone. Then we've already won. He closed his eyes. Tomorrow would bring politics, negotiations, maybe even more war. But for tonight, he had peace, real peace, and the stars no longer looked distant.